We're joined this morning by head football coach and athletic director, Coach Matt Griffith at Sylacauga High School. It began as a rainy night Friday night against Cleveland County.
It did. It kind of affected our crowd, too. I appreciate everybody that came out and sat in that rain to watch us play. And, but it was a great night. I think we came out really well with the kids. They came out smoking with all guns. I think our defense played well, and it allowed us to get up 35-0 at halftime. It allowed us to score a lot of points and play a lot of kids as the game went on.
And it's senior night, too.
Senior night, it's their last home game, unless you continue to win in the playoffs and that you're at the top of the bracket. So it meant a lot to them. We've had some kids in our programs for a long time, and I always say, that's more for the parents than anything, and it should be. It's just a proud moment for a parent to have a senior night for their kid.
Well, let's take a look at some of the highlights from last Friday night's game. As you can see, the umbrellas up early in the football game, and it was turned out to be a pretty nice night. Sylacauga improved to 7-2 on the season by beating Cleveland County, and these seniors coming out to play possibly their final game, and you open with a big kickoff return.
Yeah, Chase Ivey, that was a great.
He got great speed, don't he?
He does for a big guy. I mean, that was awesome right there. That was right there on the 1 yard line. We had to, try to sneak it in right there and almost got stuffed.
You threw the ball pretty well.
We threw the ball very well last night. I mean, that night it was about 120 yards of pass, and that's Bailey Ward on a slant. This was a fake of veer.
What a great play.
Dalen, and he just never went down.
Everybody thought he was down.
They did. So, Dalen has given us an outside edge on our throwing game. Here's another shot to Bailey.
Perfect throw and catch. Right.
Keaton does a really good job of throwing a deep ball. He always, he really puts it on the money. And then we go back to our outside veer stuff, which is our tried and true stuff there. D-Mick got a touchdown. D-Mick doesn't get happy unless he gets a touchdown. So
he's happy there. Cleveland County finally gets on the board, but you had a lot of young guys playing about that time.
Yeah, that's all our young kids in there right there. We tried to play them as much as possible. And me and you were talking before. It was we had brought up 22 ninth graders. We even got an entire ninth grade group in there for about 3 plays, and I thought that was very important for them. They didn't get a lot of B team games this year, and we pulled them up to teach them how to be varsity players and to enjoy the playoffs, and so that next year's not a shock to them. So for them to get in, we were very proud of them too.
Well, outstanding night for the Sylacauga Aggies. They won a game that they were supposed to win and won the game handily over Cleveland County. Who are some guys, we talked some on the tape, but who are some other guys that stood out to you?
Well, I'm Devontae Green at defensive tackle.
Oh, he was a monster, wasn't he?
Played his best game, and I don't know what's, his mother was there for one of the first times. She battled some health problems, and I told him Monday at practice, I'll find a way to get your mother to the game if that's what it takes for you to play that way. And listen, he's had a great week of practice this week. So, he's a tremendous player. He's probably the strongest player pound for pound I've ever coached in my life. He's tremendously quick, and when he doesn't want to be blocked, he's hard to block. So
a couple other players stood out as well.
They did. I mean, Keaton played well. I thought that Jordan Ridgway came in and played well. Bailey Ward probably had his best game receiving wise. I thought linebacker wise and defensive front wise that we played extremely well against Cleveland County. They had been scoring about 25 to 28 points on everybody. And besides Beauregard, that was the only team that really shut them down. And I thought we did a great job of shutting them down defensively.
7-2 Sylacauga looking for a 8-win regular season as they travel over to Calera, and Calera's no stranger to Sylacauga after last year.
No, I mean we played them last game of the year and then played them first round of the playoffs and split with them.
Well, wasn't that odd last year though, how that developed?
Yeah, it was. And when we scheduled that game, me and him had no clue, because the brackets hadn't come out yet, that we would be paired up with that bracket. It's happened before in the state. We talked about it last year, and but me and him both approached it the same way. I mean, Fayette County was in it some years past and had another team, and people sit their starters and play it as a B team game. But I'm gonna tell you what, it's a varsity game, and you're going to play to win. And it does, playoffs or no playoffs, you have to teach kids that when you kick it off on a Friday night, you play to win regardless of anything else the next week. You got to play to win.
It's important to get that 8th win.
It is, because the 7 win is a landmark. I mean, I always learned that from Fred Yancey. Fred always said at Briarwood, once he hit 7 wins, he thought 7 wins is a successful year, and then everything else is just icing on the cake. And then when you get in the playoffs, he said anything can happen. I always thought that was a great statement from a guy that's been coaching 40 years. You know, here we've kind of looked at it the same way. That 7-8 win season we consider very successful. And then you're in the playoffs and anything can happen. So the biggest thing for this group of seniors is they were told from day one last year when we lost 26 seniors, when they were juniors, that they couldn't win. And then they had a coaching staff in there working them saying, yes, you can. Mm-hmm. And they just kept believing. Their biggest thing right now, they've had a very successful year. They want to prove they're even better than last year's team. And I think that's a great, great goal to be right now.
And some of these seniors now remember that bitter loss to Calera in the first round of the playoffs last year.
They do. They don't talk about it this week as much as I thought they would. I think we've talked about it as coaches more than they have. But you're right. The only thing that happens is we're very susceptible of going over there and getting good calls. That's got us concerned a little bit. Calera's going to be Calera, and Sylacauga's going to be Sylacauga. They're like they were last year. They're big, they're strong, they're fast. They're about 50% run, 50% pass. He's very balanced. And we are who we are. And so it's going to be a great football game between two well-coached football teams, and we're going to see.
And you want to get that 8th win as you head into the playoffs first round next week.
I think it's a momentum builder going into Eufaula if you beat a very good Calera football team. I think that you hit the nail on the head there. It's about momentum.
Mm-hmm. Sylacauga 7-2 with a win over Cleveland County last week and ahead to Calera on Friday night kick at 7 o'clock. Coach Matt Griffith, the head football coach and athletic director at Sylacauga High School. Coach, thanks again. See you next week.
Thanks for having me.
Back for more Daybreak after this.